Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Adventures with Kramer. So this is going to be a slightly different series. I was requested to be able to try and help make some of the different tutorials that we're working on for class and trying to help out with our personal logo design project. This is going to be part 1 of 13 different parts. I was kind of a little ambitious on this one, but we'll see if that needs to be changed. This first one is just going to be working with Adobe Illustrator and building your logo with some basic shapes. So go ahead and get Adobe Illustrator opened up on your computer and follow along. Let's get started. Okay, now that you have that open, you go ahead and go up towards the very top there where the help button is. We're going to go down to tutorials. And this one's a little bit different than Photoshop in that we got to hit the back button and then we can come down to hands-on tutorials. So we're only going to be really working off of 3 different tutorials here on Adobe Illustrator, but all going to be working out of the Make a Logo section here. Our very first one is going to be build your logo with some basic shapes. Let's go ahead and click on here. And nice tutorial working across from Adobe, just trying to help out. The instructions are good on here, but sometimes they definitely get a little confusing, especially when they start using different terms and things like that, you know what, a lot of you guys are new to this, and that's all good. So we'll go ahead and start the tutorial here. It's going to automatically populate a nice little image here for us to work on. Nice to have instructions. Make sure Adobe Illustrator is all the way up to date. That does make a big difference. I've seen a lot of times it'll mess up if it's not doing that. And so the very first thing that we're going to be doing is you're going to be creating some different shapes. So our end goal is we're going to try eventually making this little B shape down below here. But first off, we're going to find the rectangle tool, which is right over here on the left hand side. And we are going to go ahead and click on that one. Now that we have it clicked, on step 2 it says to hold the shift key. So we're going to start at the upper left hand corner here, holding the shift key. And we're going to click and drag across on this box until it reaches over there. We get pretty close to that same size. That's all we got to do. That way we don't get any kind of like weird shapes. It gives us a nice little perfect square there. And then when it says on step 3 to move the pointer off of any corner, it doesn't really matter which one you go to, but you're looking for that little arc shape right there. I'm just a little bit off, so right over here, I'm on the top right hand corner of the box. I come in close towards it. Now, not the double arrow that's going in both directions, but it is a double arrow and it's kind of in that curve shape. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to hold it. And then I'm going to drag it counterclockwise. And you can see those degree angles counting up. I get to 45 and I stop. Nice, so I have that turned. That's all we had to do right there. So we go ahead and click our next button here. And then we're going to got to move this discover out of the way just a little bit here. So we're going to shift that over. And it talks about we need to click the white color box on the word fill under properties. So here's our properties. We're going to come down to the fill and we're going to click on that, just left click in there, and then we're going to end up turning that to black. So make sure we're on the right swatches right there in black. You should see all these different colors here. And then we can go ahead and hit the escape key to be able to get out of there. And then on the properties panel, on the down arrow to the left of the stroke weight, so right below fill there's stroke. So the stroke is going to be what that kind of border is going around the outside of the box. Just to the left we have an up and a down arrow right here. All we need to do is just click down. Goal is just to get to 0. We just want to get rid of the stroke. And so that leaves us done with step number 2. Let's go ahead and click next. We're going to go back over to here, and where it's asking us to add in the polygon tool. Polygon tool is actually underneath the rectangle tool, so we can either press and hold to get the polygon tool to show up, or if we right click on it, same thing happens, we get the polygon tool. So now we can see that hexagon, that polygon tool selected. Our goal is then, according to step 2, we want to try and find close to the center of this here. It does not need to be exact. We're just doing our best here. right somewhere in the center. We press and hold the shift key, and then we're going to click and we're going to drag it out. I'm just trying to get it close. It's not perfect, but we don't need it to be. Just needed to get it close there. Then according to step 3, along the right side of the bounding box. So this box that's surrounding the hexagon, along the right hand side here, there's a diamond shape, which is right here, just above the middle point on the right hand side. And then all we have to do is, so we hover over it, we can see the plus or minus. We are going to now click, and we're going to drag up until we get to a triangle, and we let go. And that's all we had to do right there. So let's go ahead and done with step 3. Let's move on to step 4. So then now, same type piece, we need to rotate this counterclockwise 90 degrees. So we go off of any one of these different corners right here. So we're going to go off this top corner, and I'm going to drag that over 90 degrees. And there we go, it snaps into place at 90 degrees. Step number 2 asks us to click the direct selection tool. So this is the one that's kind of filled in a little bit on the arrow selection. So I click that once. I come down here. Now this next step is very important. So on the long left hand side, we are going to click on this little anchor point. We're going to click it once and let go of the click. And then we're going to click and hold to be able to set and drag this along. Now if you lose that pink magenta line, just kind of move it until you get it back. That'll give you a nice balanced looking triangle, which is good to be able to help add on here. Once you have it pulled out somewhere, I usually go close to about below the red dotted line right above here, and then I let go. You can see that kind of semi-close to there, which is good. So that leaves us done step 4. We go ahead and click the next button to keep moving on. While we're still holding on to the direct selection tool, we are going to click just above the triangle over here along this right hand side, and we're going to highlight this right edge of the triangle. Now that I've done that, there's going to be these little center shapes here, and what these are going to allow us to do is we've selected these right 2 corners, and if I click on this and drag this down, that will allow us to round off those corners. And we want to drag that all the way down, so you can see starting out here at the point, I drag it down until I get that red line to get it kind of that nice arc happening right there. Okay, and now that we have that rounded off, we can go ahead and click the next button. We're done with step number 5. So step number 6, we're going to use the regular selection tool. So it's the one at the very top left over here. We're going to drag across the big black circle up there with the white rectangle. So we have both of them selected. Then we're going to go to the shape builder tool, which looks kind of like a snowman sideways that's getting stabbed by an arrow. And so we're going to go ahead and click on that one. And then most of you guys in class, you're going to be using a Mac, so you're going to end up holding that option button while doing this, and then you're just going to draw a line through. So while holding that option button, draw a line going through that rectangle, and then when you let go off the mouse, then let go off of that option button, you'll now split that circle into those kind of 2 halves there, or at least those 2 chunks. Now that we have that one done, we can go ahead and go to the next one. We're going to go back over to some of our drawing tools. So we were on a polygon tool, and we're going to right click, go down to line segment tool. That's where we're going to come down to this green dotted line right here. I'm going to hold the shift button to get a nice straight line. I'm going to hold shift, click, drag across, let go. And then come over to the stroke over here along the right. So we're going to make that line itself more bold. So I'm going to increase that, and it says all the way up to 20 to be able to help increase that. That leaves us done with step number 7. So now we're on step 8, which is just kind of piecing it together. So I'm going to click back on that selection tool at the very top of the screen on the left hand side. And I'm going to move this box over, put that right inside there. It's not perfect, but that's okay. We're going to move that other part of the top part of the circle over there on top. The other part down below. The wings of this kind of bee over here. I made the wings a little big. That's okay. And then whatever part of the bee this is supposed to be on this line, I'll move that right on over. And there we go. We have our bee. So now all you have to do is just take a screenshot by holding down Command Shift 4 and selecting across on your screen and add it to your assignment. And that is the first tutorial done. Check out the next video and I'll see you next time. Well, I hope that ended up helping you out on that first part of the series. If you like that, go ahead and help to keep checking out the next ones on there. We're going to continue on with a couple more in Adobe Illustrator before we eventually move on to Photoshop. So look forward to part 2 coming up next. Thanks, everybody.